I have analyzed hundreds of D2C brands, and all the best of them have this one section in common. In this video, I will do a breakdown of the 6 best examples I have, so you can take direct inspiration from the best and implement this section to increase your own conversion rate. The first example is Goda, and the section I'm covering is this one. It's the customer survey statistics section. And what Goda does really well with this is they have it very close up on the page. And also they provide images, which many of the other examples do not. What makes this section so high converting is the fact that they are not only visualizing and selling in the dream outcome extremely well, which is number one, very important, but they also directly handle the likelihood of achievement in the same section. Most brands doing 7 or 8 figures are already good at selling the dream outcome. So the conversion rate bottleneck is usually not the dream outcome, but rather the perceived likelihood of achievement. Handling these 2 conversion rate levers in different sections will cost you money, because if you're showing the dream outcome, the visitor will default to try to not believe the dream outcome. And if you're separately providing proof, then this proof is not directly anchored into the full dream outcome. But by combining both into one section, you get the best of both and an active synergy between them, which cancels out the conversion rate bottleneck of the other lever. Scrolling down, you get the full impression of the dream outcome, at the same time that you are not allowed to start doubting the dream outcome, which is what usually happens when you are presented with a very clear dream outcome, is that the visitor then defaults to start doubting it as a defense mechanism. So if you're able to impress your dream outcome while not allowing the visitor mentally to start shaping their doubt, then what you are left with is the most potent impression of your dream outcome that you can have. The next example is the Essence Vault, and they, same as with Goda, they have it very high up on their page, basically immediately after their product form ends. So here they start handling any of the common objections people have before buying through presenting statistics based on customer surveys. It's still a very high impact section, but as you see compared to Goda's version, this one carries a lot less psychological weight because it is a pure text-based section and because it is not supported by any other media as well, like reviews. A very directly useful way to think about this when it comes to your sections on your product pages and landing pages is to try to aim at where the visitor is standing right now, but make sure to also fire shots on both sides of where the visitor is currently standing. And what I mean is to use angles for the main angle that your section is trying to cover. Imagine I'm aiming at you and shooting at you. If I shoot one shot and it's directly at your current position, you can move to the left and you can move to the right. But if I shoot at your current position and a shot on each of your sides, you have nowhere to go without getting hit. And that's how a section should be as well. If you are aiming your angle at the visitor, they can escape your shot by taking a direct objection, which cancels out the angle you're trying to give. But if you then have supporting angles in this section, which makes it so that they can't just default to the closest objection, which is opposite of what you're trying to achieve with the section, it means that it will be way harder to just use the most convenient excuse to why what you're saying is not true or why it's not going to be like you're presenting it, and giving a much more well-rounded psychological impression. So for example, every time you make a bold claim, back it up with a strong supporting element. And every time you're trying to remove risk, add your dream outcome as support. So imagine a satisfaction guarantee section. If you only said, be 100% satisfied or get your money back, that's using the one angle. But with a supporting angle, an example of that would be a 100-day satisfaction guarantee. If you do not smell amazing, you get your money back, no questions asked. The difference between those is that one is a single purpose execution of angle. The other one is a more well-rounded and fuller angle. Next example is Space Goods. And here they as well only use the text, but at least they are using the statistics themselves in very big and bold text. And what they are doing very well is that they have a very strong statement of the benefit that people are experiencing. So 93% reported consistent improvements in focus, 88% reported consistent improvements in energy, 95% said they would recommend to a friend, which is at least very specific. So they cover the focus and energy separately as 2 different statistics, which makes each of them hit harder than, for example, saying 90% reported consistent improvements in focus and energy as one. But yeah, they are also missing out on the huge synergy of the supporting angles to back up this section, because you're only presenting the user with big logical claims without any supporting media to reference it to. Space Goods as well has this in their media gallery. Here, 88% feel more focused, 84% feel more productive. but I feel like they are using a pretty generic execution of this in their media gallery. It could be a lot better, in my opinion, if they chose more specific content instead of a lifestyle content, actually showing the benefit, the dream outcome happening. The woman in the picture does not look focused. Maybe she looks like she overall has a productive week, but she definitely does not in the moment look focused. So ideally, for example, they would have a 2-column layout for this one with 88% feel more focused on the left, with then an image of someone clearly in the zone, being very focused on what they're doing. And on the right side, having 84% feel more productive, and then maybe a visual anchoring it more towards, for example, a to-do list or specific results or achievements. So you have both the focus, the state the customer achieves, and also the results that come from it, which is ultimately the dream outcome. Next up is Gruns, and this is their main landing page at the moment. They have a lot of visuals, and like here, they have an actual visual of someone looking like they are really feeling the energy. And then they have the statistics section right here. And to be honest, at first glance, this was a good example, but now I realized the statistics are actually very weak for the angle of the page. The angle of the page is mostly focusing on digestion problems, fixing those, and energy, and overall well-being. But the digestion and energy are the main specific benefits. And for digestion, they have a 67%, and for the energy, they have a 56%. So it's like a coin flip. And this is after 3 months of consistent use of their product. Of course, the ultimate strategy for conversion rate is to have a product that works. But what you can do to get better statistics to present is make them more specific when you're doing your survey. For example, instead of 67% say they had better, more regular digestion, you could try some more specific questions in the survey of, for example, have you had less stomach problems or less stomach aches after using Gruns? Or number 2, has Gruns helped your digestion? Or are you less worried about your stomach problems after taking Gruns? Or more specific absolute questions like this, because the brain places a huge weight on problems and a lesser weight on improvements. So by, for example, asking, have you had less stomach problems or less stomach aches since starting Gruns? If they then look back at the 3 last months and they can't really see that they have had more problems than before after taking Gruns, which of course shouldn't be the case, then the answer to that question will be yes. But if you're asking them, have you had better digestion after starting Gruns? Then it doesn't make them look back on how much problems they've had, but instead tries to see, can I clearly identify a considerable improvement? Because remember, someone will not say something is better if it's not pretty clear that it's better. But asking, have you had less of this problem after starting? The answer has a higher chance of being yes, because yes would be the answer unless something has been worse or exactly the same. But if something has not become worse, it's easier to try to think of instances where you have had a positive surprise, for example, about, oh, I thought today would be pretty bad, but it's not bad. So basically asking, for example, have you had less of X problem has better probabilities than asking, have you had a noticeable improvement? Because the improvement part tries to make the user identify a concrete, specific positive change. But here you have, of course, random variation day to day, how you feel. And if you're asking, is it better? You're basically asking the visitor, have you noticed an improvement that is beyond the threshold of daily variation? So your product is going to have to do a lot of a bigger benefit for that answer to be yes. While on the other side, you're not making them look past the threshold of improvement. You're just making them look at if they might be having less of the problem. But here you have the random daily variance working for you instead of against you, because you don't have that threshold where the improvement has to be noticeable above this for them to click yes. But instead, it can be anywhere above having more of the problem. If they then have just experienced a slight benefit, even in just their perception of it, then the answer will be yes, because there is no threshold they have to go past to be able to click that yes button. A key takeaway from Gruns, I would say, is actually to also avoid featuring low statistics, because that is worse than having no statistic at all. Because you are basically specifying that the chance of them getting their benefit is lower than 50%. So what is their money going towards if the chance of them getting the benefit is 50% or less? They are paying money for a returned benefit or outcome. That's what the statistics section is meant to be doing. It's meant to give them the assurance that their money is actually translated into those benefits and that outcome. But if you have 55% showing as a benefit statistic, It's basically saying that you are paying us the same amount of money, not a relative amount of money, but a specific amount of money for a 50% chance of achieving the benefit that you are paying for. That is pretty damaging for the conversion rate, considering that if people believe in the outcome, they usually need to be reinforced with certainty or probability that they will get what they want. You can think Alex Hormozzi's likelihood of achievement. But here you might be even dragging down the likelihood of achievement to less than it would have been if you didn't even feature the statistics, which is completely the opposite of the purpose of this section for the conversion rate. So Grunz ended up actually being an anti-example for how to implement this on your own store. Then we have True Botanicals, which has a pretty insane statistics section, which is 100% said this left their skin feeling calm and soothed. So this basically, since it's also a clinical result, it's actually imposing 100% certainty in the visitor that they will get these benefits. So let's say you have the dream outcome, which, for example, let's say is 100%, meaning you are good at telling the visitor what your dream outcome is and that the dream outcome claim you have is a desirable dream outcome. So if they could get it, they would want your dream outcome. Then it's 100%. But then you have likelihood of achievement, which usually takes this one, which is 100, let's say, and actively reduces it because likelihood of achievement is around 80% or 85% or something like this, leaving you in this example with a net persuasion impact of 85%. But since True Botanicals has questions and done a survey that leaves it with 100% benefit success rate with their customers in a clinical result, it might actually take this 85% and push it close to 100%, meaning you go from 85% persuasion impact to 100% persuasion impact. Of course, this is isolating just these two factors. There are other ones as well. But for this part of the value equation, True Botanicals have it maxed out. So the takeaway for you as well with this is when doing customer surveys, ask questions also that you think the most of your customers will be able to answer yes to. Notice that the results for True Botanicals is what the customers have felt when using the product, not necessarily the dream outcome. The dream outcome is to be more attractive, looking younger, removing wrinkles, having more radiant and glowing skin. But they have featured the statistics of how many people felt their skin feeling nourished, moisturized, and calm and soothed. But of course, if you're applying a cream to your face, it's going to feel moisturized. And if you have used a cream on your face, it's going to feel more nourished than not using a cream on your face. And the skin feeling calm and soothed might very well just be how their product feels to use, which is a good thing, meaning they have proper ingredients to create this feeling. But it's also a very associative feeling, because imagine you are applying your skincare, it's the evening, you have just showered, and now your face is with no products on, and now you apply the product. It's not really a stressful ritual. So, I mean, there are already pretty good odds that people will feel their skin being calm and soothed. But of course, the absolutely best customer surveys that you can do is trying to ask the questions that are the most impactful for your dream outcome, while at the same time having the highest chance of having a high statistic. So for True Botanicals, for example, the best for dream outcome would be, do you feel like you look more attractive and young after using our product? The problem with this though is that they might only get a 60%. So they have to step down on the dream outcome to how the product feels on your skin. But it is still a dream outcome for people to get this feeling on their skin because they already have the association that things that feel moisturizing and nourishing and calm and soothing for your skin translates into that dream outcome. So it is a very, very strong proxy for the dream outcome. But what could be better if they were able to get good answers on it? It's asking, for example, something in the middle, like, is your skin glowing more after using our product? Because it is closer to the actual full dream outcome, which is looking younger, looking more attractive, and feeling more confident as a result of that. I just wanted to highlight how there are levels of the dream outcome questions you were asking, and that you have to balance it out with asking the questions that are the most attractive based on dream outcome, but at the same time have the best chance of you getting strong statistics to present. In addition to this, they have this in their media gallery here with the before and after as well, and here with a close-up. And what they're doing better in the media gallery is that they are featuring the dream outcome way more than in the product page section. Here it's reduction of fine lines and wrinkles with an extremely impactful before and after. And here they have the same reduction in fine lines and wrinkles with the before and after, where the woman in the picture clearly looks more glowing, radiant, young, and attractive. So I would say they score really high on this. in the media gallery, but that they are missing out on a lot of the good things they are doing in the media gallery on the actual product page section itself. The final example is Burst Oral Care, and they have this in their accordions in the product form. So when you scroll down, you see clinical proven results, removes up to 10x more plaque, reduces gum bleeding, removes up to 95% more plaque, and 96% of users said the brush gave them a professional, clean feeling. And the last part of this is very smart because it's more about the feeling, but it's a very desirable feeling that's also very strongly associated with the effect. So basically, if your mouth feels like it has been professionally cleaned, your brain intuitively and subconsciously connects this to that it's better for your teeth. It's also going to remove miscoloring, unhealthy issues with your teeth. But after using a good toothbrush, chance of you feeling like you have gotten a professionally clean feeling is very high. That's exactly what the toothbrush does. So here they have been very smart at leveraging the feeling of the product to get a very high statistic for it, because they have extremely strong statistics on the actual effect itself as well. One principle for excellent copywriting is to not have the customer need to convert things. And what I mean by that is the people buying from you are normal people which are not as deeply into this field as you are as a brand developing the product, meaning 10x more plaque removal, 95% greater ability to remove plaque in hard to reach areas. These need to be converted into what the actual benefit for the customer is. And unless you really talk a lot with your dentist or you read a lot online because you're very in the problem aware stage, these actually have less total impact for you than the feeling of a professional cleaning. Burst does a good job by doing both, but something I see some smaller stores doing wrong is that they think featuring the statistics of their mechanism is all they need to convert the visitor. While in reality, what you need to focus on is the dream outcome, the feeling, and how the life of the customer will be and feel with your product. So most of the best copywriting, this applies for ads as well, are the ones where the prospect can directly relate to what is being said. A common human wants their teeth to feel clean, they want their teeth to be healthy, and they want them to be white. Removing plaque is the mechanism to make that happen. But so therefore, if you go really hard on the plaque removal, you're leaving the prospect to have to convert the mechanism effect of plaque removal into their actual experienced benefit of the product. So the less your visitors and prospects have to translate and convert what you are messaging to their desired benefits and feeling of the product, the better your conversion rate will be. One thing Burst has done really poorly with this, though, is the way they have formatted and designed this display of statistics, because it's hidden inside an accordion and it's written in small bullet point text, which compared to all the other examples we've covered is limiting the positive effect this section would have on their conversion rate by a lot. So of course, needless to say, content on your site that has a strong psychological impact should be paired with strong visual design. They both need each other to synergize for the highest possible conversion rate increase. If you do not already have this section on your product page and in your media gallery, you're most likely unnecessarily losing extra profits. So get that tested today in both the media gallery and on your product page. And if you have a 7 or 8 figure store and you feel like you're not using your conversion and behavioral data to the highest degree possible for your conversion rate optimization, you should really try out the conversion rate system that we have in the Shopify app, Eevy AI. Eevy is an algorithm that uses all behavioral and conversion data on your site to optimize the content that's being shown on your product pages and homepage. This includes automatic optimization of your media gallery, video sections, review sections, and even FAQ section. Not only that, we provide your team with the most practically useful engagement metrics for all the content on your site to help your team learn what is actually performing on your website. Think of Eevy like the meta algorithm for your website content. And the crazy part is that not only is it best at actually using your data to increase your conversion rate, it also removes so much of the unnecessary human labor required to do manual conversion rate optimization. Have your team focus on making the best performing content and creating a way deeper understanding of what content actually works on your website, and leave Eevy to use the data you have to optimize that content for your highest possible conversion rate. Eevy's algorithm improves every day with your conversion data. So if you haven't installed it yet, you're just losing out on valuable days worth of data that Eevy would use to optimize the content being displayed for your conversion rate.